I want to welcome Agile XRM to the podcast. I've known the people at Agile XRM for the past 12 years. I've seen how their business process management tool can add massive value to complex organizational processes in sectors such as finance and government. If you have complex processes or a need for dialogues on the Power Platform or Dynamics 365, take a look at how this BPM tool can add value. You can find them at agilexrm.com or check out the show notes for more details. Welcome to the MVP Show. My intention is that you listen to the stories of these MVP guests and are inspired to become an MVP and bring value to the world through your skills. If you have not checked it out already, I do a YouTube series called How to Become an MVP. The link is in the show notes. With that, let's get on with the show. Today's guest is from Norway. In 2021, she received her first MVP award. She's a blogger, active community contributor, and has the honor of being part of the Portal's Zero to Hero League. She's a leader in the committee for the Arctic Cloud Development Challenge, a 3-day hackathon in Oslo that runs every year, and she's one of the leaders of the Oslo Power Platform and Dynamics User Group collaboration. She's rated as a top 50 woman in tech in Norway. Check out the show notes and you can see her Twitter, LinkedIn, blog, and all those great things. Ulrikke, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Mark. That was amazing.
Did I get your name right? Tell me how do you pronounce your full name?
If I would say my full name in Norwegian, I would say Ulrikke Akerbæk. And I know that's really hard. Yes, that's hard. So
yeah,
I studied
it's awesome, though. It sounds so nice.
Thank you. But I studied in England, in Nottingham for half a year, and then they just called me Ricky at the end.
Is that right?
No one even bothered anymore. So.
Hey, Nottingham is a nice place to be, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's brilliant. Oh, I loved it. It was really good. I made friends for life from all over the world. That was a great time.
Don't they claim they have the oldest pub? You know, that's kind of built into the side of that castle?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, the oldest pub in the world.
I've been there a few times. It's pretty amazing.
Because I think every town in England has the oldest pub in the world. But Nottingham for sure. That's Nottingham is the right one.
I love the way it was built. Yeah, built into the what, that kind of cliff face, isn't it?
And the castle, the old castle with the grounds, and they have this beer festival once a year. You get your own beer cup, and you can go around to all the beer bottles and all the beer producers, and you can just get your tip off. So that's great. Yeah,
so good. Do you know? I'll give you my fun fact from Oslo, and it's not something that kind of affects males so much, but I had a friend from Sydney who went and lived in Oslo for maybe 4 or 5 years. She works for Google. And a foundation in Australia, New Zealand, that type of thing, or facial moisturizer, is water-based. But in the Nordics, it's oil-based because water-based freezes and hurts your face. And I never knew that there was like a difference between oil-based and water-based moisturizer and the freezing cold temperatures.
Poor thing. I hope she's all right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she learned very quickly, of course. And,
yeah, you will learn that pretty quickly. And you also learn during the winter season not to shower and just go outside because your hair freezes and it breaks.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Do you know some of the best sushi I've had is in Oslo, down on the waterfront?
Wow.
Mm-mm.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. It's the first time, you know, the green stuff with sushi, what's it called? Wasabi?
Wasabi? Yeah.
It's where I've had proper wasabi, was in Oslo, and it was amazing. The guy came and grated it at the table. It was incredible.
Oh, yeah. That sounds great.
Top notch.
Wonder if that place is still here. How long is it since you've been here?
Yeah, it's down, you know, where, how would I describe it? You know, there's a big kind of I'm going to say a brown building. It's like a very arts kind of center with a lot of artwork on the inside and outside of it. Down where, and there's kind of like a whole new area where like Google have all their offices and all the tech businesses have their office area. It's where you catch the ferries and stuff to go out on the fjords. It's in there. There's the restaurant.
I think I know the building you're talking about, and I don't think Google's there anymore. How long could it be since you've been there?
Oh, well, I came back from London just before the pandemic started, so 2019. So I'm pretty sure in 2018, 2019, I went there. Also, I did a 365 Saturday in the Microsoft office there with, I don't know if you went to that about 3 years ago.
Was that before they moved, before Microsoft moved offices? Because now they're down in the city center and used to be way out.
Do they have a big giraffe on their wall?
Not now.
Painted on the wall in their office? Oh, I just remember they had a big giraffe painted on the wall.
I'll have a look the next time I'm there.
Classic. This is not the normal way I run a podcast, by the way. This is so all over the place.
It is nice.
Yeah, because the other thing about Oslo I like is the Vikings, of course, and the big Viking museum and things like that. And the park with all the statues.
Yeah, I know.
The park with all the statues.
Great.
That's awesome.
And when you're Norwegian and you're in Oslo, I'm going into Oslo later today, actually, staying over until tomorrow. But when you're native, you're so lazy. You don't go to visit those places, and it's so sad. We were good during the pandemic to be tourists in our own country, but we didn't go to Oslo because we go to Oslo all the time. So we went all over the place in Norway and visited all the nice places we have. But Oslo is kind of last on the list. So we were tourists in our own city, went to see all the different things that are here, but we never ever thought about going to Oslo because that's so boring. We're there all the time. So yeah, maybe you should do that next.
Yeah. Have you done the big fire, the bonfire, where they make the big bonfire once a year, that tower? It's the biggest bonfire in the world. Probably
with
bonfire is not a word.
Or whatever
all the
called.
crates, all the plates, and they set on fire.
Yeah, I saw it on TV.
Wow,
Didn't
cool.
it fall on at some point?
Oh, have you not gone to it?
No.
They do it each year, right? Oh, yeah. I think it's a tradition of Norway.
Oh, really? No, I've only seen it once, and never ever thought about going. But it seems really cool.
The other thing is crayfish parties. Crayfish, that's Norwegian, right? Crayfish parties?
No, that's Swedish. So that would be kräftskiva. So that's Swedish tradition, I think.
Okay, so then is there, because once again, this friend of mine who was in Australia, she would make us, and she never went to Sweden. She was only Norway. But do they call them crawfish parties or
Yeah, that's about it.
But it wasn't Swedish. I thought it was Norway.
Oh, well, maybe she got to know some, because before in 2008, I think, there was a financial crash, and we lived in Sweden at the moment at that time, and there was no jobs to be found. So we got, all the young Swedish people came to Norway, and they settled here, and we call them party Swedish. We call them party svenskar. So they would come over here and they would work and they would party, and so many of them stayed. And so we've seen the last couple of years, we've seen so many Swedish traditions. Because we live, I can run to Sweden from here. So on my daily run, I could easily, just run. And we were there yesterday, so this is really close. But in Oslo, they don't get that much influence. But we see that now. It's coming, so much of the Swedish traditions, to see them further north than we did before. So probably because of that, I think.
Wow. So here we are. We're 11 minutes into a podcast, and I haven't even started the podcast yet. Well, I did the introduction.
Yeah, you did. While we're chatting, I wanted to say hi from my boss. I started at the new company the 2nd of May, and my boss is called Lise Eastgate, and she's actually from New Zealand. Yeah. So she's in Suriname.
A Kiwi. That's incredible.
A Kiwi. No, she's
so cool.
I know. So when I told her I was going to be on the podcast with you, she said to send her hi. sends hi to you.
Oh, that's so cool. Hi back. That's so cool. I love that.
Oh, that's nice.
Tell me, you've started at a new company. What do you do as an outside of IT? What do you do when you're not ITing?
Oh, I do so many things. I don't know how I got time to be an MVP at all, really, because my life is already full as it is. I have a husband first and foremost, so he takes up a lot of my time. And I have 2 kids. One who's my youngest boy is 4, and my oldest daughter, she's 9. And they keep me occupied, of course. Sleepless nights and a lot of activities during the day, of course. And then I'm a gardener. So in Norway, we have half a season only. So now in May, when everything kicks off, I love it. So my birthday is the 24th of May. So I love May anyway, but this is the best month. Everything comes to life. Everything's green. You can see things growing. You can hear the trees, making that little noise when the leaves pop. And I just love it. So I garden, and I love to grow our own vegetables.
What type?
Oh,
okay, so vegetables.
Yeah, sure. And then and flowers. I love roses, and I'm really a 90-year-old lady inside. So that's me. And then during the winter, I love to sew clothes. So I sew for myself and my daughter. I love to fix. So it really started, when the kids are small and they're all on their hands and knees. All the trousers had big holes in them, so I just cut them off, and I sewed them so they were shorts. I made them into shorts, and that's where it started. So, and it just cut off from there. So that's what I do during the winter. And then a couple of months ago, from my aunt, I got this this box, and she's like, "Okay, I'm going to give you a gift, and it's alive, and you need to feed it every day." And I was like, "Shit, what is this?" And then it's a sourdough starter. So I need to feed this thing. Yeah, I know. And you need to feed it every day. What it gives in return is the most delicious bread you'll ever eat. So twice a week I make bread, and I do it differently every time. It comes out differently every time, but it's the best bread in the world. So that's my current, my most recent hobby.
I love it. You have a lot of passions similar to mine. Now, audience, I'm sorry you don't get to see this, but these are all the seeds that have just arrived today from... I buy all these unique seeds from people that just, they share their seeds with you, and I can buy it online. And I'm always looking for things that you just can't buy from a store, that are totally unique. And I like to propagate them and just see what happens. Let's see what we can grow. So vegetables as well as native trees to our countries. And then this month I've planted over 1,000 bulbs. So, tulips and daffodils, and because we're at the opposite season to you. So we're going into our winter. So hopefully in spring, I'm going to get a field of flowers.
Oh, you need to send me pictures of that. That would be amazing. Because you're living out in the countryside.
I will put them on my
now,
Instagram. Yeah. I live in the countryside.
So, because I listened to your podcast, was that with Marcus, when you told about, when the pandemic started and you moved out to the country and the barn that you fixed up? How's that going?
Yes. It's good. I'm in it. This is it. Now it looks more like a house inside than a barn, but it's very good. And next year I'll start building my house. So
that's cool. So the whole family's with you, and you worked out well for you during the pandemic.
Yeah, my wife works at Google, so she works remote. I work for IBM Australia, so I work remote. Living in New Zealand. But that's the thing: the pandemic has opened new opportunities in tech. Right, you can work for companies that are geographically miles away, but we're doing this now on Starlink. So, Elon Musk provides the internet connection. So,
wow, that's cool. Oh, what the world.
Anyhow, this podcast is about you. How did you become an MVP? Well, first, how did you get involved in Microsoft? And then how did you become an MVP?
All right. So I've worked for a Microsoft partner for the last 10 years. Started as a SharePoint consultant, actually. And then I went on maternity leave. And when I got back, they had moved SharePoint to the cloud. and then they threatened to take away SharePoint Designer, and I was working with SharePoint branding, so they took my job away, basically. And so I thought, all right, so what else can I do? What's in the Microsoft spectrum, or in this space that I can do? Use because I'm a web developer, I'm a communicator, I'm a graphic designer, and I work with UX. So I thought, all right, so what can I do? And they just bought ADX Studio, that we now know as Power Apps Portals. And so I thought, all right, that's public web. And I've always worked with customers that wanted to turn, because in the beginning, or in 2012 and 2018, I think you could have SharePoint as a public facing website. So
That's right. So, then they took it away, right?
Yeah. I was grateful, because that's trying to hammer in a nail with a screwdriver. I think, it's not the right tool for it, and find something else. But when you're a consultant on the lowest level, it's not always that your opinion is heard. So I did it anyway, but that's another story. So I turned to ADX Studio, and I thought, all right, this fits me well. This fits what I want to do. I want to work with UX. I want to work with the end user. So this is my opportunity. And I was actually so grateful that they sent SharePoint to the cloud after that. But, we had all the black belts. So we had Nick Dolman, when we had Nick Hayduk and Jim Novak, and all these great people that came with the product from ADX Studio. But there was not a lot of content other than that. So you couldn't search for anything. There was no documentation. There was nothing. It was just a big void. And so I scrapped, and I figured things out on my own. And then I started the blog mostly for myself, because I have the worst memory ever. So if I ever solved a problem, I needed to make sure that I didn't try to solve the same problem again. So I created a blog post for myself with just screenshots and blah, 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 what I did. And then I just published it on a web. My husband's a web developer, so he just created a WordPress blog for me. And that's where it started, really. And I just kept it going. And then I saw that other people liked my content and used it, and started answering questions in the community forums. And then whenever I would answer something, I would create a blog post about it, because then I could share it with other people. And then I just organically grew from there, I think.
I like it. And you're so right. But about those three guys that you mentioned, they're all technologists. None of them are designers.
Oh, that's true.
Right. So all their content was technology related. But, I love that you've come at it from a design angle. My question for you is, and I challenge, my teams, if I could look at your portal and I can tell it's and I'll loosely say an ADX Studio portal, or let's say a Power Apps portal, or let's just leave it as a Power Apps portal at the moment, because the announcements haven't been made. But could I look at the portal and know that it was a Power Apps portal, or would I look at it and go, wow, I wonder what technology this is built in? Because I find that so many portals look like Power App portals. Like, just because you change the theme doesn't mean you've done anything revolutionary, right? Do your portals look awesome?
Yeah, I think so.
Awesome. I love it. No,
but the real big projects that I've done, they don't look like portals at all. That being said, though, it's not really portals that's the issue. It's the bootstrap. So you can also look at other websites and think, oh, this could be a Power Apps portal if you're not from the web development world. But I would recognize, oh, this is Bootstrap. And we're stuck in Bootstrap 3.5 in portals. And now we have Bootstrap 5 is out there. So it's a gap. We need to fill that gap. Microsoft need to figure out how to update that, because that will bring so many more possibilities in regards to how you can structure your site. And then, Mark, there's also another thing, and that's web standards. So you should not have your logo on the top right-hand side. You should not have your menu on the bottom. You should have some kind of standard, and that's what I think is good with Bootstrap, and perhaps Portals being that low code framework kind of product that it is, it should be web standard first, so that if any quotes idiot goes in and creates a portal, it should be accessible. It should be web standards. It should be design patterns. It should be SEO in regards to search and Google, so that should be out of the box, and that you could not have a radical design that way. So, and then it's up to us as designers to do it right, and to do it with all those criteria still in place after, we've had our customer. Yeah. So, but I think you get your point where we could do so much more. So, I think the web's so boring these days. Everyone's, and I just had this discussion with my husband the other day that, back in the 90s, web design was creative space. And you could have this bat following your mouse, the pointer and or the cursor.
Adobe Flash, right? Yeah, Adobe Flash back in the day.
It was awesome. You could do whatever actions.
Splash screens on a website.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was great. Loading, waiting, anticipating that loading bar when you had to load everything. It was amazing. And where do you see that now? I loved artist websites. So bands and artists back in the day when MTV was big, that was amazing. And you don't see that. Even artist websites these days. MySpace ruined artist websites. Just to point that out. So that was MySpace's fault. But even after that, now they could do so much cool stuff, and they don't. So and it's like my husband pointed out that, well, websites are dead, aren't they? Because no artist today would spend money on a good website because it's all social media and TikTok anyways. So no one would ever see that website. So that's probably why they don't invest as much as they did in that. So
it's I think he has some validity in that. I used to always say it's so important to have your own website because that's your home. That's where everybody comes to, and don't trust a social media platform because that may change their algorithms, etc., and deprioritize you. Still believe that, but I think to funnel people to ultimately your brand, I think it is, like TikTok is today, is that brand. You're seeing Facebook go out of popularity. You mentioned there, what did you say it was that killed the artists? For people listening to this, okay, that was the predecessor to Weibo, which was a predecessor to Facebook. That was way back in the day. You can Google it, and I think Justin Timberlake owns it now or something like that. I remember that journey. Crazy. Ulrikke, it's been good talking to you. Thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, it was really, really nice talking to you, Mark. We should do this more often. It was really great. Thank you for having me.
Hey, thanks for listening. I'm your host, Business Application MVP Mark Smith, otherwise known as the NZ365 Guy. If you like the show and want to be a supporter, check out buymeacoffee.com/NZ365 Guy. Thanks again, and see you next time.